Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dominic D'Angelo, adfreeshows.com, SEScoops.com, and Brass Ring Media. Yes, I am flying solo yet again today. Hey, let me try to do a no adjustment. Boom. All right, so you can see that logo up there. But yes, I'm flying solo today, and we're going to talk a little bit of WWE Raw. Going to talk all the happenings on that, the build to Saturday night's main event. And yes, if you aren't familiar, Robert is out on assignment this week. He got a big promotion with his job, so congrats to Robert. And he has some work to do. So I will be covering the bases here. We'll try and get some special guests here in the mix coming up. Let's say hi to some folks in the chat here. We got Triple E saying, "What's up? Great new show, Daily Hotline." Yeah, I'll be talking about that a little bit later on. Joseph Wade Walter says, "Morning rumor heads." And Andy Borders, "Hello, R&I fam. Hope we don't break a leg with the show today. Get well soon, Zoe." Yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. Dre Owen says, "Have fun on the live show. Gotta get the car's AC fixed." Ooh, that's important around this time of the year. Dre, I don't know where you're based out of, but it's especially important if you're in a hotter area too. Johnny Disco, "Good day, on. I wonder how that qualifying match would have played out if Zoe hadn't been injured. Feel like Kyrie wouldn't have taken the pin." Good point for sure. Yes. Robert's following the band Fall Out Boy live on tour. Is that what it is? Ooh. Fall Out Boy was pretty happening back in my, what was it, junior year of college? Under the Cork Tree. That was a hit for sure, that whole album. So Dance Dance was on Madden. I remember that being on Madden too. So, all right. Hey, speaking of, who was seeing pictures of the John Madden movie coming out with Nicolas Cage and Christian Bale? Christian Bale as Al Davis, and then Nick Cage as Madden. The look is pretty decent, I think. It does look like William Regal at first sight. Funny stuff. I'm excited though. I like the potential for this. I'm a big John Madden fan. I love Christian Bale. Football, obviously, I'm big into. So, yeah, good stuff there. Well, was Raw good stuff? Let's talk about it a little bit. Kicked off with Gunther and Logan Paul having a confrontation. Logan Paul is a great heel. He's really obnoxious and just plays to everything that a bad guy should be in pro wrestling. Like, he's this coward chicken-ass heel, and that's what you're looking for. And that's what you don't get nowadays. A lot of ways you get these cool, badass heels that are always like anti-hero kind of thing. And so it's neat to see somebody so young in the business like Logan Paul be able to do that pretty seamlessly in a lot of ways, and not be afraid to show ASS, for lack of a better phrase. So yeah, I like this a lot. And talk about Gunther here, but let's talk about the potential of Logan Paul as a world champion. And he'll be taking on Jey Uso in Saturday's main event, and I think they've hyped this pretty well already, and creating a lot of elements that are up in the air. Gunther kind of teased aligning with Paul about having social media efforts and stuff like that, but then turned the tables on him, really set his sights on him too at the same time, and talked about how he kind of insults the sanctity of pro wrestling in a lot of ways. So I really think there's value in having Logan Paul as your world champion. And, does that put Jey Uso in a bad position? I don't necessarily think so. I think the fact that he won the world championship, he did successfully defend it already, correct? So, I mean, it's not like, sure, he, in certain ways, he'd be a transitional champion, but I think the point was made that Jey Uso is main event, and that he is hot with the crowd. And there's certainly ways, if you wanted to take the title off of Jey on Saturday, there's certainly ways to do that. And keep him strong and everything to that effect. So I think I wouldn't rule that out. I'm for it, actually. I'm for a Logan Paul world championship reign. There's there's a lot of media, and we'll talk about this here in a little bit too with the implementation of NBA and how the NBA playoffs kind of shook out here with the Pacers and the Knicks and what WWE teased months ago between Jalen Brunson, the point guard for the New York Knicks, and then Tyrese Halliburton, the star for the Indiana Pacers. So Larry Z says, great solo effort, Don. Keep it going. Thank you, Larry Z. Appreciate the kind words. Andy Border says, guess Roxy's going to replace Liv. Dang, how many gals is Dom going to run through? LOL. Jeez, oh man. Wrestling Old Head. Good day to you, Dom. And what's up, chat? What's up, Wrestling Old Head? Yes. So, but I like this opening segment, and I think it set the tone for making Raw, even though it's not like crazy, doesn't feel like super big stakes. It does still feel it creates that vibe of appointment television, and that's what you're looking for here on a weekly show, especially something that's on Netflix. So thought they did that very well. We also had Penta and AJ Styles teaming up to go up against Finn Balor and JD McDonough, Judgment Day. So they teased more with Judgment Day and what's to come with them. A little bit of miscommunication between JD and Finn, and it just furthered this. So it's Balor and McDonough getting the win here against Penta and Styles after a lot of chicanery took place here. So fun stuff. AJ is still in the mix for the Intercontinental Championship, which is great for Dom. You have a lot of stuff going on here. So, and McDonough's chest was quite beat up. So, fun match. But I think my favorite match of the night was the next one. We had Becky Lynch and Roxanne Perez and a returning Kairi Sane. Wait, my mistake on that? I think I am mistaken. Hold on. Let me make sure. I know. Funny I say this is my favorite match and I screwed up. Natalya. Yeah, geez, Natalya. So this was my favorite match. I think cool stories being told here with Roxanne Perez, and we learn about that later on too in the show. But I think the big you have another star in Becky Lynch, obviously being in this mix, and I think it's kind of refreshing that she actually didn't win this match. There's more meat on the bone when it comes to the feud between her and Lyra Valkyria, and WWE's aware of that, obviously, by what they did, having her interfere and cost Becky Lynch her qualifying match. So there's more to come for that, and I think it's good to see somebody like a young star like Roxanne Perez get put over and do that. It's unfortunate, I think, in certain ways that it's Natalya taking the pin, especially after the weekend she had with NWA and her new look with Bloodsport, which Michael Cole did mention both. He mentioned Bloodsport, he mentioned NWA on the show. So they're not shying away from that by any sorts of the imagination, but they think too they really need to keep Natalya hot. There's certainly ways to do that if they do want to do that, because putting her on television and having her get a loss like that is not that it's not that big of a deal, I don't think, if you create a story out of it. Wrestling Old Head. So Finn is going to use Roxanne to split Dom and Liv up, a la Finn using Liv to split Dom and Rhea up. That is intriguing, right? Look at that. And like positioning Dom in a babyface role in a lot of ways too at the same time. And Liv turning babyface too in the same turn. It's kind of interesting. Don't know where that's gonna go. Who's more valuable as a heel? Is it Dom or is it Finn? I mean, the crowd is cheering for Dom big time, but and Finn is not exactly doing babyface things at the moment. He seems to be meddling in a lot of business and stuff. So, let's see. Derek Hubbard says, I was not as high in the first women's three-way. It felt like a whole bunch of parts, spots, and moves that did not have the smooth transitions and moments to bring the parts together. Lots of waiting. Yeah, I guess so. But I do overall. I more was invested into the story aspect of it all and showcasing somebody like a star like Becky Lynch, because it feels like a big match when she's involved, I think. and then obviously Roxanne Perez and stuff like that. And I liked all the competitors in that match. So fair argument, though, I say. Wrestling Old Head says I can see Liv getting cheered for sure. I can see that too. But is there a payoff? I always just think about the payoff that kind of didn't happen in certain ways when it comes to Rhea Ripley totally exacting revenge on Dom and Liv. But yeah, I guess in the same turn too, it just does kind of make sense how the crowd is reacting. So yeah, I think these first two matches were really good and I think entertaining, and they did what they were supposed to do. Now we had Rollins and Logan Paul getting in the mix too. With Logan Paul, and I think it's good stuff. And this also adds to, hey, we're having a top heel in Seth Rollins, and we're having a big time heel in Logan Paul interact with one another. Where does that put Gunther? Is Gunther in on this? Is this like a Survivor Series 1998 with The Rock teasing big time babyface and then ultimately turning back to the heelish ways? Is this a ruse? What's going on here? But either way, I did like it. Sheamus took it on Grayson Waller. I like the tension between Austin Theory and Grayson Waller still going on. I think there's just more to do with these guys, like I said yesterday. And this is an indication that they aren't shying away from that either. I think having those guys in a good position, I think they know the value that both guys, those Theory and Waller, possess. And so I think putting them in this position, even though Waller lost to Sheamus, is a good thing, and speaks to them paying attention and doing their due diligence on what they have for the program. It didn't seem like a senseless booking to me. To me, it didn't seem like that. It seems like there's more to do here. We're having a little bit of a debate about the cheering stuff. So Triple E says the crowd cheers for bad guys. They cheer for Cena, Roman, Fatu. When he first showed up, they first cheered for the final boss. And then Wrestling Old Head added, the crowd was taught to cheer the cool, but they will absolutely cheer who they hate until they become cool. Yeah, it's kind of just weird. You get a lot of the smart, quote-unquote, fans coming in and kind of shaking things up a little bit when it comes to how things are, people get reactions and stuff like that. It is kind of frustrating. It's just like they want to feel inside. So I ultimately like it when wrestling goes to some of the less smart mark towns, for lack of a better terminology, and the families and the kids and everything like that kind of play along with the stories being told in certain ways. All right, next up we got, taking a look, it's in a book, reading Rainbow. Yeah, okay, here we go. Rhea Ripley and Kairi Sane, returning Kairi Sane with Zoe Stark, triple threat match. Obviously, the big story here is Zoe Stark getting horribly hurt in this match. Her knee gave out really, really bad. If you see it quickly, it's not a good sight. She really, really got hurt, and I feel really, really bad for her because she is a really good talent, and it's just unfortunate. And so prayers out to Zoe Stark. Hopefully she heals up as speedy and as safe as possible, because, oh man, that was a bad injury, and you don't like to see that. And you could tell Rhea didn't like to see that either in the match, and it's just so unfortunate. So Rhea does advance and is qualified for the Money in the Bank. It's good stuff, ultimately. And I think her with Roxanne Perez, you got Alexa Bliss there. Plus, then you have that, obviously, the previously mentioned side story between Lyra and Becky. It's showing, yeah, hey, there's a lot to take in with this women's division, both on Raw and on SmackDown. So, yeah, cool. I like that Rhea qualified for this. And despite the horrible injury with Zoe, really unfortunate. Really unfortunate. I'm not sure, Wrestling Old Head. Was it her left leg that had the ACL tear in 2021? I cannot remember. Just unfortunate. Do not like to see that. Do not like to see that. Next up. All right. It is main event time. Jey Uso taking on Braun Breaker. This is a big money match in a lot of ways, right? But speaking of money, you want to keep your money safe. You want to keep your cards safe that you have. And this week, we are happy at Rumor and Innuendo to have Ridge Wallet. Boom, be our sponsor. I'm very excited for the sponsorship, as you could have told yesterday if you tuned in. Ridge Wallet creates high quality, durable, heavy duty wallets that are nice, compact, keeps your cards all tight and safe, and you got a good money clip here too at the same time. So Ridge Wallet, see, check this out. All right, I'll show you here. So there's my debit card right there, but there's a neat way you can fan things out, and look at that. Keeps all your cards out and ready to go for you to pull out and utilize. So there it is. There it is right there. I'm not showing anything too scary. But I love this wallet. I seriously do. I'm like obsessed with it, kind of. And it's kind of nice to have in your pocket and be like, okay, hey. And I kind of mess around with the contraptions here, but you can see they're all screws are all tightened up in there, and you have a lifetime warranty with this. So that's the nice thing about it. So if you run into any issues ever, you can contact Ridge and they'll make it right for you. And let me also show you too how I keep my keys if I can find them. Here they are right here. So also they have these available for your keys. Same kind of setup for your keys with like the same wheel on it, and I can fan them out, and there you go. Look at that. So yes, and we have a special offer for Memorial Day for our listeners. If you really want to help support the show, this is a good way to do it. And what a strong investment you get with a great wallet like Ridge Wallet here. So you can go to ridge.com/rumor, and I'll read you all the details to that. Right now, Ridge is having their huge Memorial Day sale. Get up to 40% off at ridge.com/rumor. Just head to ridge.com/rumor to see their biggest sale of the year. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that Rumor and Innuendo sent you. I cannot speak any more highly of this product. I love it. I seriously do. And I highly recommend you do it. It's a great investment if you're looking to protect some of your cards and keeps you extra aware of you having your wallet on hand, because it's got some good heft to it too, but it's nice and compact at the same time. So give it a try and tell them that we sent you. Right? Yes. But like I said, big money match here between Braun Breaker and Jey Uso, and it kind of unfolded the way I kind of thought it would. Seth Rollins interferes, so the match gets thrown out. Jey Uso wins by disqualification, and then it sets up Jey Uso getting attacked, Sami Zayn coming out, CM Punk coming out. Boom, we got hyped up tag match with Sami, Punk going up against Rollins and Breaker at Saturday's main event. So cool, fun way to kind of close out the show. Nothing super duper wild on this episode to that changes the landscape of the industry to anything like that or anything, but it does its job. And I think it's an overall good episode of Raw. If we're getting this kind of stuff during an off season after WrestleMania, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think this is a fine show to have, that doesn't take up, it didn't feel like it was a long, drawn-out show either. I think they did a very good job overall of how things were executed and things like that. I should make note, I don't know if anybody saw this, but man, what's going to be the future for Karrion Kross here? If you guys didn't see it, they're selling his merchandise at the arenas now, and that's a good sign, right? They are aware of the value of Karrion Kross, so I think there's some big stuff on the forefront with him. So just be on the lookout for that. I'm excited. What would you guys like to see at Karrion Kross ultimately happen here? Let's take a look at look at Dom flashing his money around. Money. See, this is where the money goes here in the wallet. There's no cash right now, but I appreciate it, Cammy. Wrestling Old Head says, I was just thinking about this the other day. I think that a crowd response can greatly impact how good of a match is. I thought about it after watching a video where a guy says the crowd doesn't factor into how good of a match is and was. I think it's because I grew up watching ECW, where majority of the matches were good because of the energy of the crowd. I think the crowd is super important. It's kind of interesting that WWE's veering away from having house shows, live events as much, and really focusing on the television product that are still live events, obviously, but obviously televised and with the intent in mind. So I think, but yeah, I think it's super duper important to have good crowd reaction in this, and helps make it feel like a bigger deal. I think it's benefited AEW too in a lot of ways when you go to these smaller venues and you have your ardent fans going to the shows and being as receptive as they are. It kind of takes, when AEW is going playing bigger venues and it didn't seem as big, having a crowd react in any sort of way, even if it is they're like booing the babyface and cheering the heel. Sure, you kind of don't want that, but I think any reaction is good reaction, and ultimately it's makes it feel like a big time kind of thing. So I think that is very, very important. So that's it. Dom, yes, I agree. House shows were a great litmus to let the bookers know who's getting popular or who two wrestlers had chemistry, or which two wrestlers had chemistry. Yeah, and that still is something. So I hopefully, I would like them to kind of do a little bit more live events and stuff like that. I tell you what, they're such fun shows to go to too. Though I went to the SmackDown live event that was in Pittsburgh months ago. It was such a cool show. Like, everybody loosens up there. They interact with the crowd more. It feels like a cool experience to go to, especially if you're up close and getting that stuff. So, I mean, keep your eyes peeled for any live events that kind of go on in your area for WWE. And if you do, and if you have the funds to do it, try to get close to it. As long as they're not raking you over the coals with the ticket prices. It's a really fun show to have and to be able to go to. Want to give a shout out to this. Triple E says, money, yeah. R.I.P. Shad Gaspard. Anniversary of his passing was this past Saturday. Yes. Man, if you're not aware, Shad Gaspard was one of the first wrestlers I really interacted with in doing, the dirt sheet stuff. He was doing working on a screenplay or a pilot, Pinfall, and a pro wrestling television series, and sent it to me to read, everything like that. And we were planning to do some interviews at some point. I actually got to meet him WrestleMania weekend when WrestleMania was in New York City, I think for 35. Really cool interaction. Such a sweet, kind-hearted dude, fun dude, and man, what a hero! What a hero! That he saved his son, sacrificed himself, in the ocean, and we lost a really, really great person in that. So it's a shame. And I really do think that WWE should honor him in a very, very big way. I know they gave him the Warrior Award, but man, I would make an own type of the Shad Gaspard Award for him. And I know Dave Meltzer actually did that for the Wrestling Observer. So yeah, so R.I.P. to Shad Gaspard. What a hero, what a person. Derek Hubbard says, I am willing to see Cross as a babyface. I think he has shown a ceiling as a heel because he's not a good bumper or capable of moving and selling in a place needed for a mid-size heel. Yeah, the thing is with Cross, I do think there's kind of still some more value element into potentially him being a heel, considering he has Scarlett at his side and stuff like that. But yeah, I think there's also value in him as a babyface. He's got a great look. He's a great promo. All this wrestling aspect of it all is very much secondary. I'm very much highly of the opinion that if you can go to a certain extent in the ring, I think that's important, obviously, especially in today's landscape of pro wrestling. But is it still the end-all be-all? No, by any means necessary, it is not. I think personality, charisma, look, all those are way more important than actually how you can perform in the ring in a lot of ways. Sure, it's a key element to that skill. It's a key component to that, but it's lower on the totem pole in my opinion of things, because I mean, if you can get me to watch because of the promos you cut and by the stories that are being told, that's what I'm mostly interested in. First and foremost, the athletic aspect is just the sports simulation that gets you intrigued for the violence that you're going to see. Triple E says, yeah, some stars talked about having to improve playing of the crowd to not let the noise die. The things that stars don't want is no reaction or noise. Absolutely. You want to keep your crowd interested in. That's tough to do in any form of like live entertainment, to keep the crowd into it. And because the crowd is just different. Sometimes you're going to run into a crappy crowd. Don't react the way you want them to. Don't react at all. I've known that with stage plays. You go, you have several performances and people show up and maybe invested opening night, but you go into like a Saturday matinee and maybe people aren't as like laughing or reacting to certain lines or anything like that. So even in that regard, it can be tough. You're dealing with unpredictable elements when it comes to a live crowd. So you do definitely want to try to get the audience engaged as much as you can. Old Wrestling Old Head says, I'm convinced someone in WWE that has pull does not like Cross. Yeah, I mean, he's been a big Triple H guy, right? Like NXT, think about all that. It is a head scratcher as to why he's not ultimately being put in the position that he was. I think, it seemed like he was a very big deal in what they were doing down in NXT and everything like that. I am curious. I can certainly understand that viewpoint because there just doesn't seem to be a reason to not have him at a higher level. Hopefully this is a kind of a reality check that, yeah, okay, there's value in this guy. We gotta keep him up and cooking the way he is. He's doing stuff that is very akin to what CM Punk did several years ago. So Wrestling Old Ed also adds, thanks for bringing up Shad. RIP to a real hero. Hell yeah. And then Triple E also adds, Old Head, something backstage politics is because the fans and online fans want to Cross on TV and his merch, and they just got his shirt online again. Yeah, so, I mean, WWE's taking note about all this stuff, and, they need to continue with that momentum. This is the unfortunate difference between sometimes, hopefully, what WWE is going to do and what AEW is typically known for doing is like the Acclaimed had big merch sales and everything like that. Outrunners were really catching fire. You name a lot of acts in AEW and how they just ultimately were not used to their fullest potential, from a merch standpoint and from a storytelling, marketing, television show standpoint as well. So cool. All right. I guess that'll do it for me for today. You will catch me tomorrow here live, noon, Eastern Standard Time at the Rumored Innuendo YouTube channel, on the WWE Creative _ X account, on the Dominic D'Angelo X account, on Ad Free Shows YouTube, and Working Stiff YouTube, which is currently the Magnum Greg Gagne Magnum TA YouTube account. So, yes, thank you all for joining in. If you haven't yet, please check out rvdtv.com. It's me, Rob, and Taz, and Katie Forbes, all paying homage to Sabu and, sharing some fun stories and lots of stuff. Very thankful that Taz was so generous with the time. We nearly went 3 hours. So if you haven't checked that episode out, be sure to, and help spread the word about the channel and everything like that. If you haven't yet, there's also opportunities to donate. If you have the means or if you have the desire to help out Sabu's family, we raised double of our original goal in helping Sabu's family with funeral expenses and outside expenses that will surround, his passing and everything like that. So you can check out that GoFundMe and feel free to donate, or just feel free to share it too at the same time. Just cool stuff. All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to. Oh, yeah, like I mentioned. So Brass Ring Media, I just started yesterday doing a daily hotline. 10, 15 minutes I go. I usually just focus. My goal is to usually focus on one particular topic. And yesterday is El Grande Americano. Is it offensive? I give you my opinion. So go to Brass Ring Media on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and help support the show. And get the word out about that too. All right, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. Best of luck on your future endeavors. And Shad Gaspar for